This is the market update. This is the why is crypto going down? I don't understand why the dollar is going up. There was a problem with the bank in Philadelphia on Friday. What is happening and why are my altcoins unable to rally version of the market update? If you have these questions, stay right here. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel, turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please give us a thumbs up. If you're watching the short videos, feel free to comment down below. This show is brought to you by my Patreon, patreon.com/unhingedcrypto, where we have the 6th Street Coaching Podcast. We have this very subtle QR code here you can scan with your phone. The link is down below. We have a store for people who are, not into monthly memberships. And we have a monthly membership as well. These people bring this show to you. And coming very soon, political tokens. Most likely a special report in the store. You're not going to want to miss it. Can't talk about any of this anywhere. That's why it's going to be pay-per-view. I got plenty to say about it. Okay, Bull Runner is here. Welcome. Super Matt coming in from the UK. Forget about it. Hank and Harley, Ron, Jorge from Twitter. Welcome. Aiken with the Notorious love. Thank you. 23 with the Notorious love. Myrna, all in crypto, the fuzz crypto. Patience, people, we're all going to make it. It's not timing the market. It's time in the market. Although timing the market does help. I will help you with that. Laughing Dolphin from the UK. Great filibuster. Welcome. Lexi, not out of the unexpected. This is true. Bart says, I made it live. Thank you, Patreon. Yes, thank you to our Patreon members. Please come join us. Holland is here. Art, welcome. Okay, I'm diving into the news because there's plenty of it. Ronaldo from Trinidad. Claude, Rave Song Records. Welcome. Okay. This is Mind Your Biz. He's a YouTube influencer. I know this guy. So 1 minute he's having fun at the Apple store. Notice that we have these goggles that I'm sure are quite cool. And then he says, the levels when you begin to understand what big tech has planned for humanity. And then he starts thinking about the goggles. And then, yeah. I got a question for you. Web 2 or Web 3? Which one do you want? Particularly when they're marking Web 3 down at bargain basement sale prices. Bargain basement sale prices. Claude, a member of the Patreon, welcome. Welcome. Okay. Now, who do you want running your life? What about AI? What about all this stuff? Currently, because of what's going on with green fiat, people are hiding in equities. But you really have to ask yourself, you always have to remember why you're in crypto. The everything conflict, taking on a large retailer, online retailers march to monopoly. People, there's no march about it. If you want to buy literally anything from bathing suits to motor oil, you can get it on this online retailer's site. And if you don't like it, you can get a QR code in 5 minutes, drive to a Whole Foods or a UPS store, scan a QR code, and take it back. No questions asked. The refund has hit your account by the time you walk out the door. And who in God's name is going to pay retailer markup for labor and retailer markup to try to make up for theft when they can get it from these guys? Now, my point is these guys, they are coming out with their own crypto. So, it's a free market, but you got to ask yourself, as they destroy all these altcoins, who do you want running your life? So a certain group, did some laundry with some money from a hack. Just as a reminder, people give crypto a very hard time because of illicit transactions. I worked in the traditional finance industry, and I will tell you from basic training videos where they train you and train you and train you and train you on all the flags for, washing machine with money. Now, the amount of washing machine that goes on with money inside the legacy fiat system is like this. The amount that goes on in crypto is like this. They try to tell you crypto is terrible because of these things. They try to tell you that privacy is bad because of these things. That is absolute bunk. Bunk. Okay, we'll show this while we can. TikTok, a sentiment indicator. So, time for value investing in Bitcoin, 2,000 views. I have 10,000 views on the channel. Sell in May and go away, investigating whether or not it's time to kind of pack it in, 12,000 views. What is crypto afraid of? 10,000 views. Losing trades in crypto, 7,000 views. Now, I'm sure I don't have to tell people this because I can feel it. I can feel it everywhere. Everyone is getting hurt, and content that discusses that is doing better. However, this stream is an attempt to turn this around. Understanding what's going on with the green fiat, I will explain that as best I can. That does hurt crypto, but that's not forever. And if it does get out of hand, it brings in Fed rate cuts. As a matter of fact, the lion's share of what we're going to talk about in the news on this stream brings in Fed rate cuts. And let me tell you something. If that happens, it's going to be like lightning. Lightning. By the way, this is TikTok crypto_noble. Feel free to check it out along with subscribing to this channel. Now, just in case you think the consensus on everything is always right, it was the end of the world for Tesla stock 3 days ago. And then Tesla stock is up 11% as China removes restrictions on its vehicle after passing data security requirements. Amazing. So Tesla can operate in China, but TikTok cannot operate here. You also have to ask yourself what China state-owned entities happen to own parts of companies that, you buy t-shirts from or whatever, right? This thing with trying to quash that platform is ridiculous. The point of this, other than the fact that, Elon's over there doing business, how bad can it be, is the consensus was that Tesla was doomed. Was the consensus right? No. Is the consensus ever right? No. As a matter of fact, that brings up the famous saying, if everyone thinks the same thing, something else happens. That's from a guy named Bob Farrell, the first professional technical analyst on Wall Street. Now, let's talk Chipotle. A Chipotle double steak bowl is now $39 in California. Fascinating, as Mr. Spock would say. So let's discuss this. Where's the double steak bowl going in the future? Where's the price going? Is it going to $42? They're going to take it up to $60. What are they going to do? They're going to give you I don't know, you buy a Chipotle bowl, get a gold watch. What are they going to do to get people to buy this at some point? So in my mind, that's about as far as you can take a steak bowl. Now, if the steak bowl has to go up in price, they're going to have to do something like, I don't know, lay off people in order to not have the steak bowl go up in price. And this is a word that will be in every financial newspaper in 2 weeks or sooner: demand destruction. Demand destruction. prices and inflation and interest rates get to a point where people just go, you know what? I'm going to eat at home. I'm taking peanut butter and jelly to work. I'll figure out how to get protein and guacamole so it's not $40. People start walking away at some point. Don't believe me? For our friends in the UK, Britons avoid the pub as cost of living weighs on leisure spending. Now, I have been to Europe, been to England, been to Ireland, been to Germany. My understanding about how work works over there is you go to work. If you're in the market, you leave at 6 o'clock. You take your mobile device with you to the pub to watch the balance of the U.S. trading session, and you go to the pub and you drink beer and smoke cigarettes and talk about the market, at least in the financial district or sports or whatever. So if the English don't want to go to the pub, or the English can't afford to go to the pub, that's demand. That really is demand. That's not just demand destruction. That's culture destruction. If you're from England and you have a comment about the pub, leave the comment down below. Is this, and the Financial Times that reported this, even though I love to fade the media, they are UK based. Demand destruction. Now, here's the media you fade. Federal Reserve's preferred inflation metric rose to 2.7%. Yeah, okay. Inflation's a lot higher than that, and we know that. But all this talk about inflation makes me think that, maybe outside of the price of wheat, which has been rallying, where can inflation really go from here without massive demand destruction? And I wouldn't doubt that this employment number on Friday, they keep showing rosy, like 13 out of the last 15 unemployment numbers have been way higher than expected. Now, that's because people need 2 jobs. That's because we got people coming in from other countries. But at what point is it both reality and in the powers that be's interest to show weaker employment data to bring in Fed rate cuts at some point? Because it's not like the current administrative's approval rating can get any lower because of a job number. It's already at 0. Demand destruction, rate cuts, which, by the way, is favorable for crypto. And that whole, I need to cut rates thing can be on you like this, because everyone is like, ooh, higher forever, higher forever, higher forever. Yeah, whatever. That's why if you have altcoins that are bleeding out, it's not investment advice, but if you've got to get over to Bitcoin, or you got to get to Ethereum, or you got to get to a parking lot for crypto, try to stay involved in the market so you don't get destroyed and you wind up rage quitting. Don't rage quit crypto. Stablecoin volumes are tracking a record 15 trillion on Ethereum alone. So where is all this money coming from? Well, crypto can create its own money, right? Stablecoins are not necessarily backed one for the dollar that I'm aware of. Not every stablecoin. And institutions are getting ready to get involved massively. This is institutions in Asia. This is institutions in the United States. For all the reasons I just talked about. Like what? I'm the only, gray-haired knuckle dragger that knows that this is the precondition for either a recession or a recession and rate cuts all at the same time. I mean, there is no way the current administration is going to get elected if they can't cut rates. I'm serious. And it's probably coming organically anyway. But it could be on you very quickly. And where's all this money in the crypto system going to go? Well, I can tell you where it's going to go. It's going to go in Bitcoin and Ethereum to begin with. And then if they start making money in that, they'll start rolling into Web3. Now, in the meantime, we have to deal with the dollar, which I will get to it. Driftless Crypto, welcome. Okay, so the dollar, let's start talking about it. So for the first time since 1990, the currency over in Asia, it got weaker and the green fiat rallied. So the green fiat's doing very well, which means to simplify, 3 weeks ago, you could have taken one green paper and traded it for 130 yen. Now you can take the same green paper and get 160 yen. Okay. So over there in Asia, they've lost like 6% of their purchasing power in a matter of days. Now in altcoins, 6% is what we do between breakfast and lunch. I understand that. But when you're talking about something as huge as the relationship between green paper and the yen, when you're talking about that kind of move and that kind of speed like this has major implications. Major implications for what? For the P&L of banks, insurance companies. When you have currency movements like that, that is considered disorderly. Now, as I mentioned, when the dollar goes up, all other currencies go down. Currencies are a teeter-totter, right? We'll try to talk about why a higher dollar is toxic for speculative assets, but you're seeing it in your P&L right now, right? Altcoins cannot rally. ETH was like ETH versus Bitcoin taking off on Saturday. Like Saturday is the only day crypto can rally because it's the only day that you're without the dollar. You got the dollar open tonight, Sunday night at 5 p.m. So naturally, Saturday is a rally day for crypto. And of course, it makes sense that ETH is going to eventually outperform Bitcoin. I completely agree, but you do have to be careful about this dollar thing. The good news is this dollar thing is now becoming like all in the media, all consensus. It doesn't mean they can't push these central banks because they have a history of push. They, as in the foreign exchange market, can push central banks to where they have to do something. So if dollar yen is at 160, the Bank of Japan is going to try to stop that. The Bank of Japan can't stop that. The Fed will have to stop it. How will the Fed stop that? How do you make a currency go lower? You cut rates. You cut rates. So either this is over or the Fed's got to come in. Well, in a way, for crypto, bad is good. You just have to be able to hang on in the meantime. You have to organize to hang on. Okay, so yen did rebound. So dollar did go down, yen did go up because the Bank of Japan came in and they can do things in the foreign exchange market. You get the point. Stronger dollar, not good. Oh, what's this all about? Banks pay savers more as higher for longer hits interest income. Did you notice we had a problem with a bank in Philadelphia on Friday? Everyone already forgotten about that. Why are banks paying you more interest? Because they woke up one day and go, we should really take care of our customers. We should give them more interest. We should have our earnings go down. No. They're trying to attract capital. Everybody is trying to attract capital. They want your deposits as capital on their balance sheet to cushion against a problemo. Because in Wall Street, there's a saying where there's one roach, where there's one bank in Philly that has a problem, there are other banks. And they're not just in the United States. They're not just in the United States. Chinese regulators warn against Silicon Valley Bank. That was a bank that failed last year. You mean they're having problems with banks in other countries? Yeah, they are, right? China's been having problems with their economy for 2 years. Regional banks over there are piling into long-dated government bonds since January. You mean higher interest rates in the U.S. can have global financial implications? Yeah. And the Chinese are going to start printing. That was last week, right? Little subtle announcement. I won't go through the details. And again, as I said, trouble doesn't make an appointment. It doesn't. You wake up and there's trouble. Michael Burry from The Big Short says, when the interest on your debt eclipses your tax income, your country is a Ponzi scheme. Problem with banks, problem with fiat, problem with government debt. I'm pretty sure this is why the Bitcoin white paper was constructed by whoever constructed it. And you're used to seeing these all the time. U.S. national debt surges $200-something billion, and such person warns about a problem. Now, just a little note here. I heard the term debanked this morning. This is Financial Times. How to resolve the debanking debate. Tighter rules tend to mean louder protests when those affected feel bad about it. And apparently, this individual in the UK, they didn't like him, and he got his bank account closed. You got to think about that for a second. This is not some communist country. This is England. Now, my generation views England. They think of England. They think of the RAF and Winston Churchill and things like that. And it's just not that way anymore. It's not. It's not. And you know who knows it? Franklin Templeton. That's your grandpa's mutual fund company. Now is trying to list an Ethereum ETF. Franklin Templeton will be at consensus in May in force, with their CEO undoubtedly announcing everything under the sun, along with Galaxy Digital, who's an ETF player, along with Cathie Wood and ARK, who's an ETF player. ETF players, they're going to have a few announcements? Yeah, they're going to have a few announcements. How about this announcement? Okay, after the Hong Kong Bitcoin ETF, Australia wants in. You mean they're going to have a Bitcoin ETF everywhere in Asia and Australia? Yeah. Willy Woo, the Asian market in user count is bigger than the US and European combined. The Hong Kong Bitcoin ETF launches Tuesday, April 30th. Number of cryptocurrency users in different regions. Asia. So let me get this straight. Banks are having problems. Everybody's got to print. There's a problem with currencies in Asia. There's a massive number of crypto users in Asia. And just like the US ETF, where people were like, meh, sell the fact. Meh, it doesn't matter. Meh, the cycle's over. Yeah, okay. Wait until you see how, like, kind of that gambling, investing, speculating mentality over there in Asia, with their stock markets being meh at best. Their stock markets have just gone down as ours have gone up. So if there's something hot in their equity markets, even if it's a cryptocurrency ETF, I have no idea why everybody is in such a big hurry to bail out of Bitcoin. I really don't. Okay. I like this. 3D printed meat is getting to the point where it can be indistinguishable from real meat in appearance. Just out of curiosity, who do you want running your life? Who do you want running your life? Okay. Chart Veteran says, who predicted the 2018 collapse, says the bull market may be over. Okay. So it's called exponential decay. And it is true that, once Bitcoin starts going sideways kind of perpetually, that has not been good historically. However, this is a very good way to get attention by saying it's all over. Bitcoin's going to fall out of bed. I mean, if altcoins fall out of bed, that's okay. If Bitcoin went to 53K or something like that, okay, that's not fun, but Bitcoin comes back. This cycle is got at least 12 more months, and I don't think the cycle is going to even be a cycle. I think it's going to continue because I've got enough headlines here talking about all the different reasons why you want to own crypto. The key to reviving the bull run is the Treasury's refunding announcement. So all these things like the TGA is going to be the new buzzword. And here is one of our favorite money printer operators, Janet Yellen, because now not only does the Fed have the ability to print money, the Treasury has a way to inject high-powered money into the system, whether they announce it or not. Sometimes they borrow more than they need, and they take that money and they inject it into the financial system. And they're going to do it because Yellen is a partisan. And nobody from her party is going to get elected, whether it's the current president or somebody else from that party, if they cannot figure out how to get rates down and risk assets moving higher again. Like the $40 Chipotle bowl at this point, like higher interest rates, that, people are going to go, oh, look, Fed funds are staying at 5%. Oh, great. Now we can lower the price to $35. It doesn't work that way, right? At this point, whatever they've done is either too little, too late, and it's going to create a crisis, and Yellen knows that. So even if she doesn't do it right now, she's going to be at the ready. And if they have to come in, it's going to be the Treasury and the Fed at the same time through this TGA, which is the Treasury General Account. Okay, just so you know what that is. Okay, now, Department of Justice tornado cash arguments show obvious disdain for privacy. So, have we gotten to a point in the world where people are going to start embracing privacy as something that they obviously want to take away from you? Snowden is online talking about this. I can't really pronounce his name. I think it's Jake Chernensky, a lawyer for crypto, is online talking about this. At what point are we going to be able to hold on to our human rights? Right? And everybody wants to give up on crypto. Everybody wants to give up on crypto. Like, look at all this FUD. Yuga Labs resumes layoffs. 68% of runes are in the red. Now, admittedly, I missed this because when there was this mania in this sector on the Bitcoin halving, that was probably a signal. Is the Memecoin Supercycle over? I think it all moves to the political tokens, personally. Coming to Patreon Premium, link down below for both the store and the membership. There are going to be some one coin markets. Okay, and as a final reminder about the dollar before we welcome who's here, here's a good little economics example. So if a country issues bonds in dollars, which is typical, okay, when they have to pay the interest on that money, they have to pay it in dollars. So a bullish dollar adds existing stress to the financial system, particularly by raising debt repayments facing emerging economies. IMF managing director has warned that high U.S. rates could cause a slew of defaults because that interest is too expensive in local currency, with potential regional or global spillover. So just in case you think I make this stuff up, like here is the, all about the dollar and why it's all over the place. This is a pretty good summary. The pitfalls of a bullish dollar. So we have to put up with it for the moment. Bullish dollar, bad. Altcoins are not going to hold a bid while everyone's afraid of dollar yen going through 160. It's USD JPY on TradingView. And if there's a way to officially end that, it's either with massively weaker economic data and expectation of rate cuts, or the Japanese, the Fed, and the Treasury all coming in at once to stop it. To stop it. Because the foreign exchange market will push governments until they come in and definitively stop these things. So that's why, even though Peter Brandt, and I understand the whole thing about Bitcoin going sideways, I get it. But to give up on the cycle when I just spent over a half hour on 25 different news articles, which, by the way, comes to you from the Eagle King. So hit the like button down below or give the Eagle King some love in the chat, because he is the research person who finds all this stuff that I talk about, right? That's why this show is a good show. It's a combined effort, and it is a labor of love for the people who watch it. So I always ask you, who are you listening to? Well, right now you're listening to me, and I appreciate that. But we got something to say, and nobody understands what's going on in this market better than we do. Okay, let's check out who's here. Daniel J. from the Jersey Shore. Patriot Caveman, you're not too early. You're not too late. You're right on time. Squatch is here. Okay, let me write down what you're interested in. We'll see if we can get live TA done at the end. Okay, Lexi looking for deals at the store. Okay, Dragon Jones is here. RC Rex says the country he lives in is a communist country. Sometimes I wonder how all that happened. It's over here too. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. What I do know is that the green button in crypto is the best way to push back, because the only thing they can't censor is price. Aiken says, we have yet to see a blow off top in altcoins. There's room for more. Again, when it comes to altcoins and it comes to the alternative technology investments, they're marking this stuff down pretty heavily. Don't Ask Six is here from Oklahoma. Sandman is here. Okay. If they don't cut rates now, they'll have to do it more later. That's not exactly what he said, but I do agree that the longer they have to wait for whatever reason to cut rates, once they start, they're just going to keep doing it. Okay. People are asking for predictions on the monthly close. Okay. That I can't do, honestly, because that's a function of dollar yen. However, I would not be shocked if there's one final puke in crypto and that's it. That's it. And it could have been it today or last night. So I don't know where they're going to close the month, but I think we are one puke away from being done. Okay. Angela is feeling sell in May and go away. Okay. That's understandable. Again, if you have to reorganize your portfolio, do it. Crypto Crazy is here. Noah in the house. Dan, welcome. Welcome. Donato. Quick Crypto Candle. Looking for 1000x gem. Part of me wonders if it's a political token. Schiller is here from Twitter. Welcome. Oscar. Okay, let's go to PowerPoint. Let's discuss monthly charts, shall we? Let's discuss monthly charts on PowerPoint. This is your market update. This is not investment advice. So, yen plunges to 160 per dollar. And then on the right, you have yen sell-off deepens, but Hong Kong equities extend rally. Wait, you mean there's a bid for stocks in Hong Kong because the Chinese might print? Aren't they releasing a Bitcoin ETF? How about that? Why is everybody selling? Why is everybody bearish? Okay, so here's dollar yen. Here is kind of a worst case scenario or a bad case scenario. Maybe 164 is the top, and we're obviously not there yet. So anything above 160 likely creates kind of hysterics, I think. And this is outside of my control. Now, if the government was smart, the payroll number, which mysteriously comes in better than expected all the time, on Friday would come in not the best. Because only that, the threat of a recession and the renewed expectation of rate cuts is really the only thing that stops dollar yen. The good news is once that expectation is created, the Fed, the Treasury, especially in an election year, they are ready to put high-powered money into this market. Now, again, the climax of this whole thing may not be until the payroll number or after that, which is why I'm suggesting any portfolio adjustments that you need to make, anything that you're not comfortable with, any tax loss selling that needs to happen. You can tax loss sell and go back in a week or a day. These are things you need to start thinking about, because the last thing you want to have happen is to get forced out of this market by, say, a puke in early May and then not be there for what I think is going to be a consensus rally, right? I think the consensus is at the end of the month, and I know that's a long way away in crypto terms, but there's no way the announcements surrounding that conference are going to be bearish for crypto. There's no way. The only question is what happens in the meantime because of dollar yen. Now, if you want to hear some good news in dollar yen, the dollar has gotten to 160. So on DeMark work, DeMark is a quantitative technical analyst who measures where you are in a trend. So if you see 13s and 9s, those can be signals. 13s can normally be the end of a trend. Obviously, dollar yen has not stopped going up. It has reached this dotted line, which is automatically drawn. So it's not only is 160 a number, but it's also what I would call the blow-off top point. So if there's going to be a blow-off top, 160 is the target. So conceivably, could it be over at 160, particularly since it's all over the media? Oh my God, dollar yen. It could be. That's why people are like, what's the prediction for the monthly close? I don't know. But theoretically, it could be one puke away from being done. And maybe you got to survive that one final puke. Just survive the puke, right? Because that's why this show, to me, has legs. It matters. Because there are so many reasons for rate cuts. There are so many reasons why they want to do it. They have to do it. And obviously, there's all these issues with debt, banks, and fiat. I mean, this is the case for crypto. Okay, Bitcoin. I have a question. What's the problem? What is the problem? This dotted line is automatically drawn by the DeMark system. It shows you when the bear market started. Back at 59K, Bitcoin broke out, and, we spent the month retesting 59 or 60. That's all. Breakout, retest, and the DeMark numbers are at a 7, which means you could go to the 9, right? The first part of a trend goes 1 through 9, so you could have 2 more up months. Why are we all selling? Why are we all talking about this being over? It breaks out, it retests, and then if it holds, it resumes. If it doesn't hold, okay, then we have to have a discussion. But what's the problem? What's the problem? Okay, Ethereum. Ethereum could not break its support point at 3,900. Bummer. But back to sell in May and go away, ironically, we are now back at where I was screaming, sell in May and go away back in 2022. If you think about what Ethereum has done nothing except unwind the speculative excess that was purged from FTX and all these related bankruptcies. So this is 3 months of down only. And then we've just sort of recovered. Here we are back at 3,200. Nothing has changed except you have purged all of these bad characters out of the system. and institutions want to be involved. And remember what I told you about Web 2 in the beginning? Remember Mind Your Biz going outside the Apple store? Yeah. And nobody wants to touch Ethereum. Based on these DeMark numbers, if Ethereum stabilizes, you could have 3 more up months, 7, 8, and 9. Currently, this reads a 6. So if you can break out above 3,900, so if you think about it, just common sense on ETH, right? All we've done is gone back to where we were prior to FTX. So to say that ETH is overextended to me is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And what's your downside risk? 3,000, 2,900, 2,500? What's your upside? 5,000, 7,000? Arthur Hayes says 10,000. What is your downside versus your upside? I'm not saying this can't go lower. I'm not saying you can't have a problem. But if you do, isn't it an opportunity? Now, Solana. This requires a little bit of nuance. So Solana had a big technical point around 180. It went through it, and then it came crashing back down. Now, let's talk about where Solana is in its trend. Okay, Solana is, the DeMark count is on an 8. Now, normally when you get to the 9 count, you get a pause in the trend or a correction. Sometimes it occurs on the 9th candle. Sometimes it can happen before, or it can happen a little bit after. Now, if you go back to 2021, Solana had its 9 candle. It went from, it went from 115 to 215 and then came all the way back down again. And then it resumed. So in this particular case, you went up, and instead of doing it on the 9th monthly candle, you did it on the 8th one. This is a normal, in my opinion, this is a normal organic correction in Solana. And Solana is set to resume as long as it doesn't collapse and spend a whole lot of time through 100. Again, what's the problem? Everyone's like, oh my God, I got to get out of Solana. No. You got to figure out how you get into Solana. You think the whole meme coin thing is really over? Not to mention the Solana phone, right? I mean, what kind of technology do you want to be holding in the future? Everybody has forgotten about this. Everyone's like, oh, the network doesn't work. Yeah, the network doesn't work because people got ridiculous, right? People got ridiculous. People can go get ridiculous on other chains. Meanwhile, they have a phone. And this washout to me is organic. Speaking of an organic washout, so in Dogecoin, there was legit resistance at 20 cents, and it can't get through there. So it comes back down again. This shows you could have 3 more up months in Doge. And frankly, when Doge was at 20 cents, I thought it was just going to blow straight through. I thought it was like, oh, I missed it, man. Darn it. It's just going to go, 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 go. I mean, do you think in an environment where you have a price war in electric vehicles, do you think Elon Musk isn't going to want to one way or the other start accepting a potentially appreciating currency for his cars rather than a currency that loses purchasing power? I mean, isn't it obvious at this point? Oh, look at them. They're selling it. Oh, please take my Dogecoin at 14 cents. I don't want it anymore. I don't want to be in crypto. I'm quitting. No. Bitcoin Cash, money. Different forms of money. So you have resistance at 600, and then you have this Bitcoin halving rally. Now, when you're in the midst of one of these DeMark trends and you're going to go 1 through 9, normally around the 4, there's 2 pause points, the 9 and the 4. So the 4th candle was not a pause because they were doing the Bitcoin Cash halving rally. So like Solana did it 1 candle before, Bitcoin Cash seems to be doing it 1 candle after on the monthly. Do you realize the high in this thing in 2021 is 1,600? Do you realize the high in this thing from back in 2017 was 4,000? You don't think if Bitcoin is up at 80K and the normies come flooding back into Coinbase that they're going to go, oh, wow, I can get one of these for $800. I can get a Litecoin for 100 and something. You don't think that can happen? You don't think these retailers are going to want to accept crypto at Christmas potentially? I know I said that the last 3 years. But ask yourself what's going on with money. And you know where they may start taking it? What about Japan? What about Japan? Right? That's a technology, sophisticated society. Why not? Why not? The government wants its people to flourish over there. So if they have to go to Bitcoin or Litecoin or something else, and you think this can't happen? Oh, yeah, it can happen. It can happen. It can happen. It can happen. And that is the market update. Okay, let's see who else we got here. Okay, don't forget to check out the Patreon link down below. Okay, I2Create says, I'm from Ghana and I want you to train me. Sir, I would be happy to, give you kind of the Mr. Miyagi. I know it's tough, probably because you're paying in dollars, but 6th Street Crypto inside Patreon is like a summary coaching 20-minute tactical plan. Okay. All right. So Robin, a fan of the show, wants me to take a look at AXL. Okay. And here's something from Willie Woo. Most self-custody wallets have a forensic route to a KYC exchanged account. There's a battle against privacy tech. Okay. Sharing screen. Okay. U.S. government concentrated gold from pleas to restock reserves. They got 27% of the gold. Will Bitcoiners do better? Okay. The majority of plebes hold custodial wallets. Self-custody will matter during times of market turmoil. There is a case for crypto. There's also a case that you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention because trouble does not make an appointment. Okay, AXL. Let's get into altcoins. Okay, so a lot of cryptos look like this. They went up, they kind of ground higher. And I didn't think this was the case, but a lot of people drew this as kind of like a bear flag. And then it broke down and I was like, uh-oh. So the way I draw these things is I think it's got to hold the 62% retracement at $1.03. So whatever it is we're looking at, I'm going to be trying to look at either hidden pivot or a 62% retracement to try to figure out if it's good. I guess the bad news here is that, theoretically, this does have room to go lower. Am I freaking out about that? No, but if you have to reduce your position in order to survive, then do it. If you've got the powder and you love this, $1.03 is the way to go. Okay, Helium HNT. Let's see. Let's try Bybit, see what we get. Okay, so Helium on the move. Very interesting. Boy, they really pressured this thing lower, didn't they? Basically, this is called live technical analysis, where you basically watch me do the TA on the screen. Some people like it. Some people like it a lot. Okay. I don't know. That looks like a breakout to me. That looks like a breakout to me. Now, nothing outperforms forever. Just keep in mind, you probably got a lot of horizontal resistance. Taking that out, that's good, right? But, it's got to hold there. It's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money, but this does look like a breakout. And if this level, I know, these streams can last for a while, but if helium is above 5.6, you got yourself a breakout. Okay, Mixed Beans wants to know if Raven has a future in real world assets. Okay, my answer to that would be yes. Raven is definitely the boomer coin of real world assets. Okay. Ondo is, where BlackRock is going. This was kind of an awful false breakout they did here. Okay. Not really sure if that's the correct structure. I don't want to give up on this. Like, everyone wants to give up on a lot of these altcoins. I mean, do you think BlackRock is done? Why does BlackRock want real world assets on a blockchain? Why? Because he wants liquidity and he wants protection in case 4 banks in 3 countries fail. Right? I mean, the last thing they want in legacy is a frozen market where they can't buy or sell. Now, this is taking it on the chin. Like, look at this over here, though. All of this is red. Okay. Optimism versus Arbitrum. Okay. So I had an article. I don't know if I kept it, but I do know, here it is. Okay. That there are token unlocks for Avalanche, Aptos, and Arbitrum. I know Arbitrum has a cat coin named after the founder. I don't exactly know what that is, but we can check these charts. Ethereum is coming back. Personally, I think base rules the day, and Optimism is better. Oh, ruh-roh. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so it looks like I'm having technical problems. Let me bring it back. I had a conversation with somebody where they were like, is Optimism and Arbitrum in trouble because of base? Or are the altcoins on Optimism on trouble because of base? They could be. I mean, I've used base inside of a Coinbase wallet. They have a fiat on-ramp and off-ramp inside the wallet. I mean, I don't know what the rationale is to trade on any of these other ETH layer 2s when you can use ETH with a fiat on-ramp or off-ramp. I don't know. Okay. Big Rich is here and he says, buy render. We'll take a look at that. Okay. So Optimism is sitting on the 62% retracement right here at 242. So I see no good reason to get bearish unless it breaks support. Okay. This structure up here is not bullish. Okay. So if Optimism breaks down, Optimism could wind up at $1.38. Arbitrum. Okay, so again, if you look at this, right, I think this is the whole rally. Like Arbitrum just smashed through at 62% retracement, right? No matter how you draw this, Like I'd say Arbitrum's got to be back above $1.22. So honestly, Arbitrum or Optimism, I would go none of the above. But if Arbitrum recovered, that would be constructive. And if I had to take a shot, it would be Optimism. Because Optimism is like the big cap connection to the functioning of base. That's how I would do it. Let's get Render going for Big Rich, who is a Patreon member. And of course, we appreciate our Patreon members. Please join for coaching for altcoin overtime. And coming soon to the Patreon store, the election tokens, the forbidden subject. Okay, I have no idea why anybody would be selling Render at the 62% retracement at 7.5. What is the rationale for selling Render here? What is it? I don't understand it, right? This is what I'm saying. You know, at some point, this thing with the dollar, it kind of runs its course. Maybe it's a week, but where's Render going, right? Where can this go? There's support underneath the market at 678. Your downside is 678, and I had drawn something on here talking about Render at 18, excuse me. And I have a Fibonacci point giving you a long-term price target for Render at 26. So can Render go from 7.5 to 6 something? Yeah. Does it matter if the long-term target is 26? No. Ooh, Bull Runner wants me to look at virtual. I like virtual. Let's get out of this and bring up Dex Tools. Okay. Virtual is this cool project where they have AI-based gaming assets. They have AI-based gaming assets stored on chain, so you know who owns it. God, look at this. They brought this thing back all the way down to where it started. They brought this thing all the way down to where it started. See, this is the argument that's like, hey, maybe this thing with dollar yen, maybe this is closer to being over than we think. Maybe it's a week away. Because again, you know, this thing went from 20 cents to 12 cents. Unless there's something wrong with the project, this looks like people giving up. If you go to an 89-minute chart, can't get the 89-minute chart. Let's see, what kind of short-term chart can I get? See how this is just down only? I don't know. This looks like people giving up, particularly this part here. I understand that the dollar is a problem for altcoins, but somewhere in here is a massive opportunity. John, hello from Nashville. Gala, continuing with Live TA. Live TA is brought to you by our friends in Patreon. Okay, so to state the obvious, gaming has not been traded. Like, I don't know how you're going to have a cycle. I mean, I guess you could say maybe runes and all that stuff on Bitcoin was the NFT cycle. Maybe. This has not been traded at all. I mean, at all. I mean, yes, you did have a ramp in this from, you know, nothing to, 8 cents. But again, the 62% retracement for Gala is at 0.04. And if you zoom out on this, like, if you can hold on, this was up at 30 cents. And I have this saying, like, the bigger the base, the higher in the space. I mean, this dollar yen problem is serious, but I don't think it's permanent. It's not permanent. The larger theme is what do you want to do with tech? Right? This right here. Like Gala, everyone's selling. Who do you want running your life? You know, you want to wear these, you want these guys putting out on your face? Is that what you want? No, that's not what you want. So I understand if you have a Gala position and you're watching your P&L, I understand about the P&L. I get it. But who do you want running your life? Who do you want running your life? T-Bone is here. What's up? T-Bone got to a live stream. We appreciate his support in Patreon for sure. Gummy. I don't know. What is Gummy? Okay, so one thing you want to look for in meme coins, in my opinion, is anything that looks square. Like these downward sloping consolidations, no good. You want it to be square. There's a certain token that has a square consolidation formation. I think T-Bone will like it. That's coming to the pay-per-view political token report coming soon to Patreon. You are not going to want to miss that. Love from Myra. Welcome. Okay. Flux. Flux. Okay. This is interesting. See, again. Now, I understand that there are issues out there, as I've said. You know, the market has two ways of getting you out in a bull market. And this is a good demonstration of that. So here's one way to get you out. Bore you. Like this in particular. Like July to December. November. Nothing. Or they can do this. They can just go, oh, wait, it's $1.80. No, just kidding. It's 85 cents. And everybody is selling it right at the support point. Always as a reminder, when you zoom in, okay, people don't mind buying the gigantic dip. Where the despair usually occurs on corrections is when you bounce, you go up, you fail, and then you come back down. And this is where everyone gets hysterical. And of course, you have the dollar yen monster out there. So could there be one more flush? Yes. Are people going to get hysterical? Yes. Are they going to get hysterical and to support? Yes. I mean, if you have to adjust the position, you have to adjust the position. My attitude on these 62% retracement levels is make them force you out. This is not investment advice, right? In other words, if you've held on this long, make them force you out or reduce the position so at least you can hold on a little bit. Okay. Okay, folks, don't forget to check out the Patreon. Don't forget to hit the like button. Okay. Don't forget to hit the like button. And as I like to say, who are you listening to? Thank you for listening to me. We will see you tomorrow.